Hello, welcome back. This is chapter second, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, written by Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. And today I'm going to explain you page number 19. So here we go. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carrier rode in perfect formation over the Union building. So, just after, as soon as the oath taking ceremony got over, there started the display of strength by all the forces, and it all started with the Air Force. Air Force moved in perfect formation. They presented spectacular, amazing display of jets, South African jets, helicopters, troop carriers, and all of them rode in best formation or perfect formation over the Union building. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. So it was not only the display of strength, but it was also a display of loyalty. That is, they were showing, they were reflecting, they were suggesting that, well, all the forces are with the new government, and that they support the democracy, new democracy, and the new government, which had been freely and fairly elected, which had been elected without any kind of biasness, without any kind of malpractice, without any kind of manipulation and all. So, besides the precision, pinpoint precision, that is error-free execution of the display of the Air Force, besides that, it was also a display of their loyalty to the new government. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and Police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. Just before the display of strength started, there came all the generals, all the heads of the defense forces and police, and they stood before the new president, the newly elected president, or they came up to the newly elected president and took their oath of loyalty. Or say, they showed or they saluted the new president and pledged their loyalty, promised their loyalty, promised their sincerity, or their every support to the new government. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. So, as they saluted the new president, he was not unmindful, he was not unaware, he was not unconscious of the fact that, well, some few years back, say a year or two back, these generals or these armed forces, which were displaying their say loyalty, would not have hesitated in arresting him. But today, with the change of the government, with the change of the scenario, with the change of the political atmosphere there, everything has changed. Everything had changed. Finally, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue, and gold of the new South African flag. And after that display of air power, there came the jet formation. There came the chevron formation of the Impala jet. Chevron means V-shaped formation of the Impala jets. Impala, you can say a particular a particular brand or particular type of airplane, fighter plane, you can say. So they flew past the audience, they flew past the guests, they flew past the Union Building, or they flew over, say, the Union Building and the audience there, spectators there, and they left behind a smoke which which were having all the colors of the new South African flag. That is, the smoke released by these jets were the same as that of the new South African flags. All the colors were involved there. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of the white singing Nkosi Sikelel I Africa and the black singing Die Stem, the old anthem of the Republic. Okay, so this day was memorable, had become memorable for the president and for everyone there, the African nationals in particular, because on that day, two national anthems, one that was used by the blacks there and the other used by the whites. Both the national anthems were sung there. The blacks sang the anthem of the whites and the whites sang the anthem of the blacks. So that was a very special day. Although on that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised, they would soon know the words by heart. Well, on that day, none of the groups, neither the blacks nor the whites, knew exactly the lyrics of the anthem, but they sang them. And he was sure, he knew that after a while they would learn them. Earlier, both the groups despised, hated the anthem of the other, and they never sang, but now they were happily singing the other's anthem. On the day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. On that day of inauguration, inauguration of the new South Africa, new South African government and the new democracy, he, some sense, that is some thought of the history return, came back to him, to his mind, in the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War and before my own birth. The white-skinned peoples of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned people of their own land. So he recalls the history of South Africa, which had a dark chapter in it when it all started with the Anglo-Boer War. It all happened in the first decade of the 20th century, and it took place between the British and the Boers, and after this war. And it also happened It also happened before Mandela's birth, in the first decade of the 20th century, and before birth of Nelson Mandela himself. And this war was significant because this changed the course of South African history. After that war, the two sides, the British and the Boers, patched up their differences. That is, they settled their differences. They reached some agreement, and by that agreement, some new constitution, you can say, a new system was devised, which was against the blacks, which was racial in nature, and which was against the black. And that was racial system. Okay, so domination against the dark-skinned people of their own land. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhuman societies the world has ever known. And this structure they created was the basis, was the base, was the key to one of the harshest, one of the toughest and roughest and most inhuman kind of system societies of the world has ever known. The society the world over had not known such kind of system ever before. That was formulated by the Anglos, or with the agreement of the Boers, because the Boers lost the war. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century, and my own 8th decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all peoples regardless of the color of their skin. So a harsher system, toughest and roughest and inhuman kind of system was devised by the Anglo and the Boers, and that all happened in the first decade of the 19th century, but that same system was overturned, that was replaced by a new system, and this all happened in the last decade of the 20th century. And by that time, the author himself, that is Nelson Mandela himself, had become or had seen 8 or had passed 8 decades of his life. This new system recognized the rights and freedoms of the people regardless of their color and of their skin. And this new system that was formulated by the new government was favorable to all alike, whether the black or the white. So this is all for now. Thank you.